We need to be about this age-friendly initiative.
You share your own personal stories, and all the members will work with each other to try to help find out resolutions.
And a lot of what I think the Council on Aging is about is really empowering people through knowledge.
Someone said to me, you know, Georgia, you should stop stewing about this. You should go to BACOA. After Lloyd was gone and reality set in with finances and should I stay here, what should I do, and my children were concerned what would happen. So someone said to me, you know, Georgia, you should stop worrying and stewing about this, what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. You should go to BACOA. I said, what island is that?
One of the great advantages of the Council on Aging is providing this multiple and varied kinds of services for our seniors and their families.
These people at BACOA are the most wonderful, caring people that you can even meet. I mean, you feel so at home with them. You're telling them your whole life story before you know it. And the nice part of those people, they don't flinch. They listen to you.
When I first started in 97, you know, I thought, well, this is a nice thing. You know, we do good things. And then over the years, let me put it this way, I've witnessed how BACOA has grown in terms of the services provided.
We were created to serve my parents' generation. And Meals with Wheels, the congregate meal program, those are all services that meet the needs of that group, that generation. The boomers were different. You know, we're a little more self-absorbed, we're a little bit more demanding. So what BACOA needs to be doing in the future for that cohort group is probably going to be a little bit different than our parents' generation.
We are trying to help Barrington become an age-friendly community. In other words, be aware of the needs we all face as we age, and making this environment here, whether it's medically, educationally, retail sales, all the various community activities, that it is friendly to the aging process.
For active seniors, we offer programs and activities to help them remain vital contributing members of the community. For seniors requiring more care, we form a team consisting of the senior, the caregiver, and others to identify services that will help the senior remain independent. Given a choice, older adults often prefer to stay in their community, and in most cases, their own home. BACOA helps make that choice possible.
I was not sure about what I was going to do about living where I had been living, and I loved it. I've lived there 17 years, and so they helped me to look into this housing, the Horizon. And I have a little villa, and it's a one-bedroom, but it is a delightful place. I call it my dollhouse.
We do a lot of counseling with people around housing. And people don't know a lot about the options and choices that seniors have. And in Barrington, we actually have got quite a few choices. We have a subsidized senior building, which is called Greencastle. We have what's called Barrington Horizon, which is new. It's out by where Governor's Park Nursing Home It's now called Alden Estates of Barrington. We've got Lake Barrington Woods, which is assisted living, independent living, assisted living. We've got Sunrise, which is more of an Alzheimer's focused assisted living. We've got the Garlands, which is a continuing care retirement community. And then a lot of people don't realize that the state now is helping to subsidize assisted living for people in what they call supportive living facilities.
It has made my life so much simpler, and all because I went to BACOA. The heating bill, the electric bill, all the bills that come up and you wonder, is there anything I could do to get help from someone? They know all the answers. And that's where I go. And you don't feel self-conscious about it, because a lot of us are in the same boat.
And so I think if we're going to be a community that is really welcoming to all ages, that we need to be about this age-friendly initiative.
You know, we're looking at people living longer, and as a result of that, we may be looking at working longer. You know, in the Healthier Communities survey that was done this past year, we asked, you know, when are you thinking of retiring? And a lot of people said, you know, I may work into my 60s, into my 70s. It may not be full-time, it may be part-time. So I think boomers are looking at their senior years, again, differently than our parents' generation. We did a program just this last fall in partnership with the library, and we partner a lot, called When I'm 64, after the Beatles song. That program was targeted toward helping people as they're moving into their 60s and thinking about their planning to understand, you know, how do I go about applying for Social Security? When might it be advantageous to do so? Learning about Medicare. What does Medicare cover? What doesn't Medicare cover? Why do I need a supplement? What's Medicare Part D? I mean, a whole lot of stuff that really isn't terribly important to you until you start to get to be close to 65.
What we have in Barrington is we have the children most often don't live in Barrington. They're scattered throughout the United States. So we have mom and dad, or just mom or just dad here. And so it is a way that we can ensure families that there are people in the community that can provide care and make sure that their parents are taken care of.
Some folks, you know that you're the only one that they're going to see that day. So they always love to see my kids, you know. And I've brought my next door neighbor's child on a couple rounds too, and they always fight over who gets to bring the hot meal in and who brings the cold meal in. And it's good to just see how they're doing, and I've gotten to know a lot of the people, you know, just from years of driving. I've gotten to know, you know, the stories about some of these folks. So, you know, there's one woman that I met that was telling me about when I brought my son. She was telling me about her husband when he was a young, you know, a military man, and you know, she was looking at my son and saying, "Oh, you remind me of my husband." But I know that there have been volunteers that have saved people. I mean, they've gone to their home and they needed help. They were in distress, and so I mean, if you're living alone and you have a constant person coming to visit you every day around lunchtime, you know, it's a good source of checking in. You know, making sure somebody's looking out for you. You know, the people from BACOA are just incredible. They're very, very thoughtful. They're very caring. They're very thorough. They just make sure that they can do whatever they can for whoever, you know, needs the help. The volunteers are fantastic. I mean, it's a really nice group of women and men, and they're just great, great people.
BACOA serves approximately 1,500 people each year. BACOA strives to create a continuous circle of care, with people helping people across generations. We provide help for insurance, benefits, and Medicare Part D, information on housing options or in-home care services, the Meals with Wheels program, activities, and programs for seniors. Most BACOA services are free or on a sliding fee scale based on an individual's ability to pay.
I had taken care of my husband for 12 years, and so I wasn't active in any organizations, and he took up most of my time. But after he died and I moved here was when I really needed an organization like BACOA, which has been great for me.
She has met a lot of people that you've done things with, not just at BACOA. I mean, it's introduced you to a whole different
Yes.
group of friends.
And being able to go to the theater, we've seen Jersey Boys and Hairspray, and tomorrow is Dirty Dancing.
BACOA's ongoing programs give active seniors and caregivers a choice of social and educational activities. Activities for seniors include Monday lunch and activity program at the Barrington Park District, trips and outings, Thursday lunch program at Greencastle of Barrington, Arthritis Foundation exercise class, and low vision education and support group.
Well, I think that your generation needs to get your older neighbors or your mother and father to get interested in BACOA, because it's like, not only is it a good organization, people my age or younger need more of a social life other than their family can provide for them, because you're busy with your family and
Right, we're tied down.
soccer and all the other school activities that mom or dad can be widower, just sitting home waiting for you to come visit them.
Caregivers, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You need emotional support. Money doesn't give you emotional support. Money doesn't help you if your spouse has dementia and your relationship with them is shifting and changing and deteriorating because they don't remember who you are. All the money in the world isn't going to remedy that problem for you. When we're working with adult children, if your parents, if you feel that your parents need support, they need care in the home, and they don't want it, and they can afford it, and you can afford to buy it, money doesn't help. That's when you need to talk to somebody. That's when you talk to us. You talk to me, you talk to Penny, you talk to Diane, and you say, Mom and Dad need some help. They won't accept it. Give me some ideas.
Because we have a lot of sandwich generation in this congregation because our people are corporate types and therefore are not living where they grew up. So they're here, mom and dad are back in New Jersey or out in Kansas or Georgia or someplace else. And so, so you not only get the pull of family and on the one side and parents on the other, you get the pull of distance.
Helping those individuals to know the resources that are out there and to help them to kind of navigate the system and also to figure out how to send the message. And that's what Powerful Tools for Caregivers is all about. It's a 6-week course that we teach. The sessions are 2.5 hours long, and it's focused on the caregiver, not the care receiver.
Well, my mother-in-law had a stroke about 13 years ago. Her physical ability to move around was impaired a little bit, but nothing was as big as the fact that she couldn't talk to us anymore. It just made her a completely different person. Frustration, I think, was a huge part of it. We had all this history of being with her and her being part of the family because she was very active And then all of a sudden, everything changed. So there are these 11 kids, well, most of them were adults, but they're still kids. They then had to start taking care of their mother, where their mother typically took care of them. When I was talking to my friend Melinda about my mother-in-law moving in with us, she said, you know, BACOA has a class called Powerful Tools for Caregivers, and you should probably take it. I'm taking it. So that wasn't too hard a decision to make.
3 years ago on Mother's Day, my mother fell and broke her hip. She was in a semi-conscious state for about 5 days, and she wasn't talking. During that time, she developed a bed sore. Ultimately, because of that bed sore that she developed, she was in and out of rehab facilities or a hospital for 18 months. It was difficult because we had to wait and see. There was nothing I could do, so we just had to wait and see because they were out in Arizona. With respect to my parents' relationship, I wanted to let my father do what he had to do because he is very capable of taking care of us, so that was not the issue.
Well, Mom moved here in the spring of 2001. Mom was an incredible doer all her life. She was a sewer, she made drapes, she cooked, she was interested in everything. Every time there was a holiday, a Sunday dinner, when we did special things together, Mom was with us. And she enjoyed it, and we enjoyed it, and as the grandchildren grew and got to know her, how special it was for them to have a great grandmother. So when she moved here, she was doing really well, but as time went on, as you age, things change. And Mom, especially toward the end, lost much of her ability and her will to do things and to have the kind of life she had, and that was hard for me. I saw in the paper Powerful Tools for Caregivers offered by BACOA, and I thought, I really think there's something here for me. I could use some help. It definitely was a great help in many ways. The class really helped me to know that if I was doing what I thought was right and that it was good for Mom, it probably was working. I also learned to do something that helped me a great deal during the past year, and that was as time went on and Mom was losing things, it was time to reassess. Realize what good you had and don't concentrate on what you lost.
The way that the course has been developed and the way that you share your own personal stories, and each person, all the members, will work with each other to try to help find out resolutions, it's wonderful. And what I learned from it is just to let it be. When I first found out about my mother, I wanted to hop on a plane, go out there. And that was an issue with my father because he wanted to take care of my mother. I went out that following August and I said, Dad, you'll have her back. Just let me take care of her for 10 days. You get your rest and you'll have her back, I swear. You know. So, but from the Powerful Tools, it let me realize that I could just sit back, let him take care of things and let him relax and then let him do his thing, because then he would receive my help better that way.
So often when you think, okay, this is something I can do in this situation when you're caregiving, you pick a goal and then you don't stop to think about how you're going to get to that goal. Well, in this class, we picked a goal, remember? Mm-hmm. And then we were responsible for reporting back the next week on how we'd done with that, because we had our goal, we had our ideas of how we were going to get to it. And that was good for us.
I agree.
Very good.
I think if you end up being a caregiver in life, it's part of, you have a natural inclination to caregive. And maybe sometimes it's sort of just manifested, and that's what brings you into it. So if you tend to be a giver, you can tend to lose yourself in the process. And the first chapter, I think, is entitled Taking Care of You. So you want to stay as healthy as you can while you're in the process of taking care of somebody else, because that just has a double good outcome.
From the emotional aspect of all this, is very emotional. And you don't realize it until you're there.
So often when we get emotional, we think, oh, this is bad. I wish I could just keep this under control. But you learn that emotions serve a purpose. And usually when emotions run high, that's a signal that something needs to change.
They teach you how to talk, and it's interesting because there's certain terms you use and certain sentence structure and that kind of thing. And so I was talking to somebody about powerful tools, and a group of women, and Joyce Palmquist said, well, Melinda found it very helpful because in her relationship with, her children and her parents, and I said, yes, and my spouse. And one woman says, sign me up now. So.
Whether you care for a relative or spouse who lives with you in a senior living facility or across the country, BACOA can help. 2/3 of adults over 65 with disabilities receive their care exclusively from family and friends, according to a recent AARP study. We offer classes and support. Making Sense of Memory Loss, Caregiver Support Group, Powerful Tools for Caregivers, Alzheimer's Association Support Group, and Parkinson's Education and Support Group.
As a pastor, you have, for the most part, a relatively intimate relationship with lots of people. And when you begin to notice perhaps some indications that they're not managing as well, maybe the thought patterns are not what they used to be, maybe there's some signs of some physical deterioration, those kinds of things. And you can be aware of those and be able to say, perhaps, we could arrange for some assistance.
BACOA is unique in as much as they're a hometown organization. And I say that not to say that it's limited to Barrington, but the warmth that comes out of BACOA is just, you can feel it. BACOA is not an exorbitant organization whereby they ask for the moon. They're a very practical, economical, efficient organization.
I think the board has always tried to be very vigilant about being cost effective and trying not to put money into bricks and mortar, but to take the resources that have grown over time and to reinvest those resources into direct services.
The executive director, Joyce Palmquist, is excellent with respect to knowing what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and who to give it to.
And a lot of what I think the Council on Aging is about is really empowering people through knowledge. If you have good information, then you can make good decisions. If you don't have good information, then you can end up going kind of down the wrong pathway. A lot of times we have tunnel vision when we look at problems. We think that there's only one way out or there's no way out. When you sit down and you talk with us, or if you sit down and talk to a counselor, what they do is they help to kind of expand your horizon.
BACOA coordinates with local, state, and national government programs to bring benefits to those recently retired, as well as older seniors. Benefit programs for seniors and disabled include advice on Social Security issues, free Metro train travel, discounted taxi trips and PACE bus service, food pantries, and help with heating and air conditioning bills.
We have a program with the transportation called the Metro Pass, where people 65 and older can be riding the train for free. There's another program available to the seniors, which is called LAHI. Basically, it provides for assistance for heat during the wintertime and cooling with electricity or gas during the summertime. We have a taxi cab program where we pay up to $4 for a trip. We do have the PACE bus, which provides for ridership, where folks are able to go to doctor's appointments and rehabilitation, doctors obviously visits, hospital visits, those kinds of things. We do have at the township level a food pantry, and for folks who are in need of food, we do have a program during the summertime called the Giving Garden, and we ask people who have a garden to plant an extra row so people can have fresh vegetables.
They have someone there who will do your taxes for you. They have somebody, if you need like to get your food stamps or if you need to get food from the food pantry, you go over to the township, having been helped by Penny or Joyce or Linda or Diane, then you will receive help from your township. Now, I wouldn't do that on my own.
We're an independent not-for-profit. I think a lot of people don't realize that. I have heard that some people, when they hear Barrington Area Council on Aging, they think that we're a council where people just sit around and talk to each other, and they don't really understand kind of the direct service part. I think some people think that we might be a part of government, and we're not. We get a lot of funding from the community. 15 or 16% would be from the United Way, both Barrington and Cuba Township, the Village of Barrington. Actually, a lot of the municipalities support us.
We've got we've got a lot of support in the community. So, we don't have to, in a sense, build support. We've just got to kind of steer that support.
We do some fundraisers. We have a wine tasting as a special event to raise some funds, and probably fundraisers bring in another 15 or 16% of the budget. Then we do have some fees. They're generally modest. For our congregate meal program, we ask a donation of $3.50 for the meal. With Meals with Wheels, our suggested donation for that is $5. But if a person is struggling financially, then we negotiate that. And probably 75% of the people on Meals with Wheels are being subsidized in some way. We only have a handful of people that actually pay the full cost for that.
Oh yeah, BACOA, they do Meals with Wheels, and they give you some help with your Medicare stuff, and they give you the driving training if you got to take a driver's test, and they give you some help on the income taxes, and they'll help you find a caregiver. All those are important. I don't minimize for a moment those things. I wish that when my mom was alive and needed help, we had that in the community I grew up in. But I want to do more. I want to do more. I think the potential there is to continue to do those things and do them in an excellent fashion like we do, but yet move on and do some other things, because I think as we move on, those other things are going to really make a difference in people's lives.
www.bacoa.org offers links to a variety of senior-oriented websites about benefits and insurance, local services, housing options, agencies on aging, financial and legal assistance, and resources for caregivers. BACOA's website also posts an online calendar highlighting special events, as well as a newsletter to keep you up to date on our offerings.
But I love them. I couldn't get along without, now that they've spoiled me, without knowing them, without having them be this very important part of my life. You have to love people to do this, and these people care about people. When it comes to wondering what in the world will I do, or could I do, pick up the phone and call BACOA because they make your life full and worthwhile and fun to be alive. Thank you for a wonderful trip to the island.
Thank you, BACOA.
Thank you, BACOA, very much.
Thank you, BACOA.
Thank you, BACOA.